Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Noah from PhoneDog.com, and I've got 3 of the best smartphones in the world right here in my hot hands. It's true, they are. Now, granted, in like a week, that will probably change because new stuff keeps coming out. And actually, there was a bunch of new stuff that came out at Mobile World Congress over in Barcelona, Spain last week that, I think might trump some of what I have in my hand. HTC in particular came out with some new stuff. It's not yet available for purchase, but will be out soon. You can check out the hands-on videos of that stuff on our YouTube channel or our iTunes feed or the website or whatever. But for the time being, I would definitely say that between the Google Nexus 1 built by HTC and the iPhone 3GS built by Apple and the Pre Plus built by Palm, I've got 3 of the best smartphones in the world here. I'm not saying they are the 3 best. There's lots of, Nokia fans and Windows Mobile users and BlackBerry fans and other people out there who would argue and make a strong case because, it's a very personal thing. But 3 of the best anyway, for sure. And, one of the things that I think links these 3 phones together, aside from the fact that you can actually buy them now and aside from the fact that they're available for use on carriers in the United States, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon Wireless, respectively, or specifically. The other thing that links them together is that they all have capacitive touchscreens that are capable of multi-touch, pinch and zoom action in the web browser, the photos, other areas of the phone, depending on the different devices. And that doesn't necessarily mean that makes them a good phone, better than other phones, but that is something that a lot of people are asking about these days. So which one's the best? Well, you know what? On the one hand, there's no one answer. It depends on who you are, what you want out of your device. On the other hand, there's only one way to find out. Let's do a dogfight. Special thanks to our friends over at Best Buy Mobile who are hooking us up with a couple of Palm Pre Pluses and I think even some Pixie Pluses as well to give away over on Phone Dog's One Pod Bandit. So check that out. You can play, you can spin. You know the deal. I don't need to tell you about it anymore. Best Buy Mobile, no hassle pricing. You don't have to deal with a rebate. You go, you buy your phone, your rebate is automatic, it's instant. You don't have to mail something in, or in my case, forget to mail it in later and wait for your money to show up, or in my case, not show up. So that's pretty cool. No hassle pricing, rebate taken care of when you get the phone. Best Buy Mobile, thanks again to them for hooking us up with a couple of these to review and give away to you on the One Pod Band. All right, so left to right, Apple iPhone 3GS running on AT&T. Google Nexus 1, built by HTC, running on T-Mobile, and Palm Pre Plus, which I apparently forgot to turn the lock screen thingy off of. But those of you who follow my videos know I always forget that. I'm sorry. Palm Pre Plus running on Verizon Wireless. I'm going to try to break this down into segments. Usually in these dogfights, you just kind of go through showing you how the same features work on different phones. But I think for the sake of trying to compare 3 phones at once that all do so much stuff, I'm going to kind of go, I think, a little more in terms of which phone might be right for you out of these 3 if you're considering them, and kind of what the pros and cons and similarities and differences are, rather than sort of step through feature by feature. Who knows? 5 minutes from now, I may have abandoned that plan, but let's give it a shot. So, first thing is form factor, and pretty obviously, 2 of the phones, iPhone, Nexus 1, are candy bars, full touchscreen, touch only. Pre Plus is a slider with a full touchscreen and then a QWERTY board underneath. So if you absolutely have to have a QWERTY board on your smartphone, well, there you go. Pre Plus is the one for you. Otherwise, I think, it comes down to kind of a choice between form factor. Let's go to the settings right now. Here's a little bonus coverage, kids. We're going to show you how to turn off the screen lock on a Palm Pre Plus. I think, let's go 3 minutes then. I think it comes down to what you want out of your device. Me, I personally, even though typing with a real keyboard, as long as it's a decent keyboard, is much, much easier, I prefer it greatly to typing with a touch-only keyboard. I would rather have a thinner, more pocketable, sleeker device. So, for me, I'd give a nod to either the iPhone or the Nexus 1 over the Pre Plus for that reason. And I actually kind of prefer the Palm Pixie or Pixie Plus form factor because that's a candy bar phone with a smaller touchscreen and then a QWERTY board, but it's still very thin, very light, very pocketable. But that being said, for me, the form factor winner here is the Nexus One because it's thin, it's relatively light, it's got a nice big bright display, bigger than iPhones. It feels good in the hand. I like that it has a trackball in addition to the touch screen. And just kind of overall, I think it's a really nice device to hold and to use. And the screen being bigger and higher res than the iPhone screen gives it a little bit of an edge. A negative, one thing to mention about the Nexus One is that the touch-sensitive controls down here can definitely be a little bit tricky, a little bit of a pain sometimes to use. So, bear that in mind. Otherwise, again, form factor-wise, I think they're all pretty good. Palm did a nice job with the Pre Plus over the original Pre of both making the slider mechanism a little more sturdy, a little less wobbly, and also they improved the keyboard. It's more of a Pixie-style keyboard, better action on the keys, which just means that when you type, they feel more kind of responsive, and you get better feedback, and you really know that you're typing. It's easier to get the keys that you want. With the original Pre, I didn't like the keyboard very much myself. So there you go. Obviously, the display on the Pre Plus is smaller than the display on the other two phones. They're all I think they're all great displays. Nexus One has the AMOLED, the AMOLED technology. In optimal lighting conditions, it's super vivid, super, really just probably the best screen, very bright, very vivid. But in sunlight, it falters, and that's just part of the AMOLED technology. It's a little bit, it's not like any of them are superstars in really bright, direct sunlight. But the Nexus One, I think, suffers the most. But, screen-wise, I think the Nexus One gets the nod because it is the largest and highest res of all the displays. You look at the rest of the phone, sort of hardware-wise. Obviously, with the iPhone, this is the 32 gigabyte model. It comes in 60 and 32 gigs internal storage. No expansion slot. The Pre Plus, you've got 16 gigs of internal storage. The Nexus One, you're basically just looking at the micro SD card slot. So a nod definitely, just in terms of storage space, iPhone has the most available to it if you want to go with the top of the line model. Run into an issue with, the storage space on the Nexus One, a limitation of the Android system in terms of the size of applications and how many applications you can store and that kind of thing, because you can't store them on the micro SD card as of now. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. But, for most people, the issue is going to come... the issue with storage or where it's headed in terms of storing lots of photos and videos and that kind of stuff. So, not a big deal in terms of average smartphone use. There are some caveats to that, but that's kind of the basic story. Also, sticking with the hardware theme for a moment here, talking about just kind of the overall build quality and construction. I think they're all pretty well built. With the Pre, it's a little bit more, the Pre Plus, a little bit more of a plasticky feel, just because there isn't really any metal on it. The iPhone, at least, it's not actually, not nearly as much metal as it used to be. It's kind of more chrome plastic, but, it kind of, I guess because it's not just all black, it sort of offsets. I think that the Nexus One is kind of the most luxurious feeling of the devices, but, it's not a big difference, and certainly there are going to be people who prefer kind of the smooth, polished feel of the Pre Plus, or the black and chrome of the iPhone, and then also, of course, you can get the iPhone in white. So, I think they're all pretty well built. Certainly, they're all susceptible to scratches as well. That's kind of how it is. The screens on all of them have been, really pretty scratch-proof. I haven't used a screen protector on any of the devices since I've had them, and they've been fine. In terms of, other hardware stuff, we'll talk briefly about the cameras. And this gets into, so to kind of wrap up with the form factor thing, it's really kind of up to you. Again, for me, the Nexus One's the winner just because I like the thinness of it and the bigger display. But, it's kind of what you want out of it, and also just what feels good in your hand. It's kind of a personal thing. Also talk about hardware. Let's look at the cameras real quick.